All right, so if you are trying to decide on the right platform for your online community or your membership, you've probably come to the decision between Circle or Skool. And in this video, I'm going to help you decide on the right online community platform for you. So Circle versus Skool. Here's a look at what we're going to cover. We're going to start with some features that both platforms have, but even though they have the same features, there are some differences we'll look at. And then we're going to look at some features that Circle has over Skool. But in fairness in this, also look at the features that Skool have currently over Circle. And then with all that in mind, going to help you decide what community platform is right for you. That's the biggie. So let's first dive into the features that both Circle and Skool have. Starting with courses. Both Circle and Skool do have courses. We'll take a look at some real world examples here. My community, which is run on Circle, is called Web Designer Pro. So that's what we're going to look at here. Yes, we have courses. So if you're not familiar with the Circle layout or UX or design, you'll find it right here. So yes, Circle has courses just like Skool does as well. Now, Skool looks slightly different in the way of it's called Classroom. And I don't know if you can customize that, but they do have courses as well. Both act fairly similar, although Circle does have more robust features with customizing each one of these courses. And we'll look in some more details on some further features and examples in the courses. Both Circle and Skool also have community forums. The thing I personally love about Circle is that you can have tons of different forums and even types of forums that we'll look at here. So like in my community, we have an entire section with different forums, one for general discussions, one for wins, one for challenges, all different forums. Skool also has forums. It's under community. However, it's very, very limited. The only other options that you can have are not different forums, but you can have topics. And while you can add more topics here, personally, I find that this would get very, very jumbled very quickly. I prefer to have separate forums with topics in these forums, which you can do in Circle as well. Both do share, most importantly, some sort of community forums, with Circle being much more robust. Both do have events. There are events in Circle, which you can really, really customize and go further into. You can even, in this case, have a calendar view for events with Circle. You can have a list view. If you wanted to have a more graphic approach with events with graphics, you can do that here. Skool has events as well under calendar, a little bit more limited, but they do have a list view and a calendar view as well. But one thing that's really important to note is that in Circle, we'll take a look at this in a little bit, but you can actually add events as forums and as community spaces. I'll show you real quick what I mean. If we go to My Community Web Designer Pro, if we want to look at, actually we'll go look at events here. See, this is a weekly pro hangout. What this is where members get together in My Community, and they can actually do that right here, but it's its own space. It's on the events tab, and it's also its own separate space right here that people could just see when the weekly hangouts are going to be. So you do have more robust features in Circle, but note that both Circle and Skool do have events. Skool currently gives you the option to do locations in Zoom, Google Meet, a real address, or link to something else. And in Circle, you have a lot more options when it comes to an event. You actually create a new event, and then you can decide whether it is an in-person event or whether it's an external link. And what's going to come into play here is actually a native live stream or a native room. You can do that all, and it gives you the option to do a TBD as well. Payments. Yes, both Circle and Skool have native payment options for your community. So when your members subscribe, you don't need to use a third-party app like Thrivecart or something in order to take payments and build subscriptions. Skool has payment options to where you can add a price and create different tiers. Circle has paywalls, which are much more advanced in the way of you can create one, you can create multiple. You could do that in Skool too, but Circle just is more robust in the amount of things you can do, especially even if you offer one-time options versus multiple subscriptions, different paywalls. You could go here, create a paywall, different pricing methods, subscription groups, and get in advance if you want to start to tier out and segment your communities. Either way, both do have, yes, native payment options. There is a couple differences, which we'll dive into in a little bit, but just know you don't need to have a different payment processor to use Circle or Skool. Member directory. Yes. Now this is pretty different between Circle and Skool, but both do have a member directory. Over in Skool, as the admin, you can decide whether you want to see canceled, churn, ban, and there's a few filters that you can look through. But with Circle, this is actually a huge difference. They both have member directories, but it is quite a big difference because in Circle's member directory, it is much more robust. And you can look through all of your members, all of their profile cards, and you can go into filters. For example, in my community, I'm a web design community. If I wanted to find the folks who do SEO, I'm going to look at a field that I set up specifically on their profiles. And let's see who does SEO. I can search this. And now I can find all the members of my community who have services or expertise in SEO. With Skool, not that way, especially because you can't really customize the options in their profile field like you can with Circle. So that is a big difference. While there's both member directories, and we're just scratching the surface on this, that is a big time difference as Circle does get more robust than Skool on the member directory. Yes, there is direct messaging in both Circle and Skool. One of the features that I use a lot in Circle is group messaging with several members. And if you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe you can have chat groups inside of Skool in DM. You could only message members one by one. Circle definitely has more features in direct messaging. Both have gamification. Now, for a long time, Skool kind of came out of the gate with gamification being its main thing. It was a huge draw for folks who wanted to have leaderboards and competition and a lot more gamification with levels and unlocks. Circle, at the time of recording this, has just recently released their gamification. So now Circle also has a leaderboard if you want to enable this in your community and utilize it to create levels and create unlocks and rewards for members. So it is very, very cool. I was not personally much of a gamification guy, but I'm using it more in the way of seeing who's really active in the community and rewarding them with pro swag. And I'm going to be doing some one-on-one calls and discounts and giveaways, and they'll be able to unlock certain perks once they get to certain levels here. So it is available now in Circle, and likewise, over in Skool, this is kind of what started Skool in the online community world, was to have these different levels with leaderboards. So it looks very similar. You can do currently some more things with Skool in the way of unlocks with different resources, but I know that Circle's working on that as well, being that this is just version 1 and it's already come out of the gate firing. So very cool things like you'll see here currently with Skool, to where you can have course unlocks and different things with different levels. Circle, again, I know is going to be releasing that here pretty soon, but as of right now, even version 1 of the gamification and leaderboards are slick, and it links in with your analytics as well. So really all ties together nicely. So again, very comparable. Both do have gamification if that is a big aspect of your community or your membership. Both have iOS and Android apps, so you can have an app experience for your communities. And both have something that I actually find very important, a company roadmap. I find it very important that businesses like a SaaS company are very open and upfront about what's ahead with deadlines and timelines and what they've done. It's one thing I've always appreciated, particularly about Circle, because they've kept their roadmap very up to date, and they've done a really good job at teasing what's ahead and sharing some beta releases on things for current communities. And they've also done a really good job at keeping a backlog of what they've done, so you can see all the improvements and innovations. I will have this link below too if you would like to see the roadmap for both Circle and Skool. Skool does have a roadmap inside of their Skool community. Theirs is, it's just not as detailed as Circle does, which personally I appreciate. I like seeing exactly what's ahead and exactly what has been done. So there is both, but again, the common theme here is that Circle just is more detailed in nearly every aspect of what they kick out. So there are more things that they share, but these are the most important things that I personally want in a community and a membership. Both Circle and Skool share these things, but as you can see, there's already some differences. So let's dive further into some of these differences, some which we've glanced over, some which we haven't looked at yet. And we're going to start with Circle, the things that Circle has over Skool. Starting with the multiple forums thing. As I showed you a little bit ago, with Circle, you can create multiple forums. They call them spaces in Circle, but I personally can't imagine having a community as active and robust as I do with only one main community forum. And yes, you could do topics, but it gets really tricky when you have numerous topics in one main forum, We actually have topics in several of these forums, and members can even subscribe or unsubscribe. If they don't want to see recent work, members can actually opt out of this space altogether and never get notified about it. So you can kind of customize your experience. That is not the case in Skool. I think Skool would do okay for a very, very simple community with a few lines of communication. But if you get over like 5 categories, things gonna get jumbled fast, which is why I love having their own lines of communication in the form of multiple forums. Now, something that Skool absolutely does not have is space types. And what I mean by that is we looked a little bit earlier at these weekly pro hangouts. Well, you can create different types of spaces. You'll see here in my community in Circle, I actually have group chats, which look like this, but they're actually very different than a feed or a forum. These are actually, it kind of looks like Slack. It's like a dedicated chat space for the people in this case who do local SEO. We even have events like that as well. We have in-person events. So we have a space dedicated to just in-person events, just our weekly hangouts. I even have a space for our coaching call replays that go right here. And it's all done with these space types in Circle. You can go in here, create a space, and then you can decide what type of space do I want? Do I want a regular post that's just going to have a feed? Do I want to have a space that's events? Do I want one that's chat? I can even create a course inside of a space. It could be a member directory if I wanted an image gallery. All are options here in Circle. That is completely not an option over in Skool. Personally, I could stop right here on this video. That's a deal breaker for me. Just my personal, what my needs for an online community and membership, key. Like this is absolutely clutch. So that is a big difference between Skool and Circle. Again, if you want to keep it simple, Skool's an option, but if you ever want to expand to something like this, I don't know what the roadmap looks like for Skool. It's not here. So that's a biggie. Here is another game changer, live streaming. Skool, I believe, is working on this, but as of now, when you do an event, you have to use Zoom for a Q&A or anything like that. As we saw here, for any sort of event, there's Zoom or there's Google Meet. It's something external. There is no live streaming feature currently. There's no native video. I do think I saw somewhere that they're working on this. Is it going to be as robust as what Circle has in place? Probably not, because in Circle, you can attach a live stream to an event, and you can also go live right here. So in Circle, I can decide, do I want to do a live stream, which is more like a webinar style? Or I'll show you here, you can actually do a live room, which is more like a Zoom meeting type situation. Or you could do an event, which you could actually make public if you wanted to. If you wanted to do an event that's outside of your members or just for your members, that's more of a workshop or a training, you could do it right here. You can invite guests. These are all the options for live streaming, and it's all native right here in Circle. And you can actually in Circle go and see all of your lives. This is another clutch piece for me, which is to go in here and see how many folks attended a recent coaching call, our weekly hangouts that members do together. All that data is here. I can even go further into the live streams and post this to a certain space inside of Circle. I can download the chat. I can download the recording and the transcript. So much more robust than what you're going to have here. That is a huge, huge difference, and personally a bit of a deal breaker for me. As I just showed you, you do have the options for live rooms if for any reason you want to have an option for more room style calls. Again, here's the option. You go live. I could do a stream, which is more webinar, or a room is where all members are going to have the option, like a Zoom call, to be on camera. That is an option here. Again, something you don't have available in Skool because they don't have any current native video, live streaming, or rooms. Biggie there. And as we just saw, video hosting. One of the best things is now with video hosting in Circle, I don't need to have Vimeo or post these videos elsewhere. I can go right in here and I can even adjust the amount of storage I want for these videos. And I just did this recently. We did a training in my community, and I wanted to republish this on my YouTube channel. So what I did is I went in here and I downloaded the recording that's right here in Circle, and I was able to do that right here without having to download it and then export it and then re-upload it to Vimeo or Wistia or something. It's all native right here with all these options. Because, for example, I could look at this. It's all hosted here. I could post this to a space. Super, super cool. I can go in and decide where I want to put it just as a replay. And again, if I want to download the chat that was there, download the transcript, all there available video hosting, game changer. And again, kind of a deal breaker for me. So these are all deal breakers personally. Let's look at the posts real quick because the posts do look different between Circle and Skool. So let's go over here. And of course, you can create a new post in any one of these spaces with Circle. We'll just create a new post right here. And it'll look similar at first to what you'll see in Skool, except Circle, you can get much more detailed with all of this. So you do have some options for attachments, links, a video, a poll, an action, some things here, but you can do way more here in Circle. This all looks very similar, except as we've seen, you can now post this into any space in Circle that want to. Also, Circle has the old good backslash with all these options. You can really format and go deep into your post if you want to. You can keep it simple if you want, but you just have a lot more options, even with inserting code, even go in here to different styles of uploads. And if you're doing different types of videos, very, very cool. Again, there's similarities here, but if we do the backslash, darn, nothing. It's only right here. So way more advanced. So yes, they do have posts in Skool, but it's just not near as rich as they are in Circle. Another deal breaker, you cannot save as a draft or schedule posts in Skool. Like this is, I do this all the time. I do this because I do newsletters and some other posts in Circle. So in here, you'll see I've got some drafts saved. You can't do a draft. Let's say I type something up in Circle or in Skool, excuse me. I knew I was going to get it mixed up. Can we save as draft? No. There's no option to save as draft, and I can't schedule it. So if you have something that you want to schedule, you can't do it. You're going to need somebody to do it live. Either you or a team member or community manager is going to need to do it live. I'm a little shocked that this isn't already on there. I can't imagine that would be the case for a while, but I feel like this whole video is just going to be the roadmap for Skool here because it's super important. And that's what you can do here in Circle. You could do a new post. We could post this in the general discussions. And then I can go right here. I could save as a draft or I could schedule this out. So another game-changing feature, deal breaker for me personally, save as draft and schedule. Access options. Each one of these spaces in Circle, if you want to, will give you options to create different access points. So I could say, for example, here in the Hangouts, I could say, maybe this is a secret type of thing. And actually that's the case right here. We have a new chat for Comma Club members, folks who in my community who are doing 100,000. And we go in here, I can set this as different access options. It could be open to anyone in the community. It could be private to people on certain paywalls or access points, or it could be secret. If I have like a core group that I don't want the whole community to see, I have that option. That option is not fully available in Skool, and they don't even really make it to where you can customize this barely at all. You could do some resources and things that are locked or unlocked in Skool, but you can't create access options like this. Another game changer for me. Layout options. This is, okay, basically everything's going to be a deal breaker for me here. Let's say, for example, in my community, you wanted to have a training library that looks something like this. They're not courses, but they serve as trainings or something you want to have graphically pleasing. You can't do that in Skool unless it's a course. In a classroom, you could create different courses that look like that. But one of the things I love about Circle is you could do a different setup and look as far as the layout on this. If I go into customize, I can go down here and decide, do I want this to be a feed, which will show more details? Do I want it to be more of a list view like a forum? Or do I want the card view, which in this case is what you're seeing. So these are all spaces in Circle. This one is a card view. This one is the feed view, to where you'll see a little bit of information here. You'll see like a video. These are our replays. But then this is the forum. So it gives me the ability to customize these spaces depending on the need of that space, which I absolutely love. One step further into these spaces, customizations. Let's say, for example, you don't want people to be able to comment on resources you have in a space. For example, I have these success pathways. You could go in here into customize, and under options, I can allow members to create posts here or not to create posts or not to comment. These are all options that are available. You can really make it your own with these spaces. Customization's huge. Let's go back to that member directory search. We looked at earlier that both Circle and Skool have members, but as you saw, just kind of reiterating this point, it's very, very limited with a large membership in Skool how you can filter people out. But in Circle, you can get really, really filtered. You can go through, we could find, let's say WordPress. Let's find who are the people who use WordPress here. Here's my people. These are the people that use the tool I do. You could also search by tag. So I could look for who are the founders, who are the founding members of Web Designer Pro. Let's just look at this. Here we go. Here are the founders of the community. Again, you can't do this in Skool. Skool doesn't even have tags, which I'm shocked by. We'll get to that in a bit. But anyway, biggie, the member directory search. Custom profile fields. You may wonder, well, Josh, how did you do that? It's with custom profile fields. So go to manage audience. I can go here and I can create all of these fields for a profile. I wanted to know who's open for white label work. What kind of specialties do they have? Since I'm a web design community, I want to know what platform they're using. And you could even go further into this with revenue, all sorts of metrics that you can add as profile fields to your members. Bobby Bob here, very, very limited with what you can create in the form of profile fields in Skool, which has just been so helpful in Circle for us to bring our community together and to pair people up and partner with people up. Member tags, again, I cannot believe it, but Skool does not have member tags. So you can't do founding member. You can do level unlocks, but in order to do a tag like you saw here with our founding members and stuff, that's huge and it's not available. You can't do that in Skool, but by golly, you could do it in Circle. Custom invite links and create invitation links right here. I could send them a link by name, or I could just send a general link, give them access to certain spaces or the groups of spaces that we have in Pro. If somebody just gets access to courses, you could do it right here. And this is all with an invite link, meaning this is something I could put in an email sequence, or I could personally invite somebody. I could choose the paywall that I would like to invite them to. If it's a paid thing, I could give them a trial, all with a custom invite link. You can't do custom invite links like that with Skool. I do this all the time. I have new invitation links for students who join my courses outside of Pro. They get an invite link. They don't just get a link to the sales page. They get an invite link in an email that says like, join Pro here. You can get a free trial in some cases, and it's been a game changer for me. So custom invite links, yay on Circle, nay on Skool. A huge one, white label URL. You cannot do a custom URL in Skool. And I'll just take you right here to the Skool official Skool community page where it's been asked a lot about a custom URL, but Skool does not, and it doesn't look like they're going to be worried about creating a custom URL, meaning your community will always be on skool.com instead of your own domain name. And you'll see it right here. It's a huge thing that I'm a little shocked that it doesn't even look like they're considering. Meanwhile, in Circle, you can go into your settings and absolutely create a custom domain. So this is my actual domain here in Circle, webdesignerpro.circle.so, but it redirects to my domain, member.webdesignerpro.com. So people now go to my URL. This community is white labeled into my domain, my custom URL. Workflows. If you wanted to go further into automations and things like that natively in your community, you could do workflows in Circle. Circle allows us, if we check this out here, to create welcome messages that are automated. You can bulk message people into certain spaces. There's onboarding workflows. So it's kind of like having an email marketing, a CRM platform that's ready to go here in Circle. If you want it, there's a bunch of engagement options that are templatized. Think about this kind of like an email autoresponder meets Zapier, all within Circle. So it's really, really cool. There's nothing like that in the way of workflows with Skool that you could do. Notification management. Both Circle and Skool do have some options for notifications. Like if I go into Skool notifications, there's a couple options here. With Circle, I could go in and I can really customize my experience in my notifications. I can choose what I want notified about, what I don't. I can turn them all off if I want and just select the few that I want. I actually guide my members through how to do this. I'd recommend you do the same. Again, very, very limited when it comes to notification management. Advanced analytics, both do have analytics, but holy cow. Circle just came out with their new analytics, and it is extremely robust and super, super helpful. This just gives me such a good idea of what's working and the feedback of the community and what's most popular, what's working well. Kind of ties into gamification as well. Skool doesn't even, to my knowledge, have like an analytics backend. You can see some analytics when you go to a member's profile, but I know there's some analytics, but it's just not even close to what Circle offers. Community customizations. You do have an option. If we go back to the main feed here, I don't know if you can customize these. I think you can remove them. Yeah, if you go into the settings, you have an option to hide or show classroom or calendar, but that's the only customization you can do here. Whereas in Circle, if I wanted to customize the main navigation, maybe even put separate links in there, I have full control to be able to do that. I can go right over here to site. By the way, if you're curious, yes, there's a light mode as well to Circle. I prefer dark mode, but yes, I can go in here and I can customize. What do I want on the navigation? Do I want to have home courses? Do I not want to have leaderboard or gamification up top? I could take that off if I wanted. I could also add a custom link. If I have a special event or something, I could add that here and customize my experience. Again, if I wanted to. Not an option in Skool, at least not fully customizable like Circle is. Currently, Circle does have course quizzes and Skool does not. I'm actually a little surprised by this. I would imagine that Skool would do course quizzes pretty soon. SSO, single sign-on, meaning if you are signed in to WordPress or another platform and you want to integrate Circle without having somebody sign in separately to Circle, that's available. You can't do it with Skool. Somebody's going to need to sign in separately with a Skool account to make that work. Whereas Circle, man, wild, so cool. Speaking of embedding, you can actually embed Circle into a whole nother website if you wanted to, or a piece of the website. And this will give me an option to go in here and I could take the entire community and embed it. I could embed one post, or I can embed, like you just saw, one of those spaces. So that's an option if you wanted to. Community AI. Circle has a huge community AI option it's kind of a co-pilot, like you'll see here, in order to help you with things like workflow, repurposing, transcriptions, accessibility, searchability, viewer experience, a lot of things you could do with community AI. And if we check over here, currently Skool does not offer any AI tools for its creators. So there you go. If that's something you're interested in, yay for Circle, nay for Skool. And the last thing before we turn it over to Skool here, advanced integrations, meaning Circle works with oodles of platforms. Skool has some integrations, but yeah, and their settings, go into plugins. There's a few things, but not even close. For those of you who do want to have more integrations and have your community as a part of your tool stack, while Circle is an all-in-one solution, if you do have something that is already up and running, Circle is going to give you a lot more flexibility to integrate with those because they have more advanced integrations. All right, I could keep going, but I do, in fairness, want to give Skool some credit where credit is due. As you can see, I am a Circle user, and by this point, I think you probably know why. But again, we just looked at all these things: layout options, directory search, tags, notification management, SSO, all these things here, multiple forums, live streaming, live rooms, all these Circle offers, and Skool does not. But let's take a look at a few things that Skool does have. I would imagine after watching this video, Circle will put on their roadmap. Some they may not. Starting with more of a turnkey setup. Now, this is kind of up to you because you can actually make Circle extremely simple and basic if you wanted to. It's kind of out of the box with Skool. If somebody absolutely wanted to have more of a turnkey setup, meaning you wanted to get your community up and running in like 15 minutes, you could potentially do that with Skool. You could absolutely turnkey, just get it up and running fairly quickly. Yes, you could do it with Circle as well. In fact, the first version of Web Designer Pro looked much more simplistic and basic compared to what it is now, but you do have to create some of the spaces and create some of the things to get going. But I'd venture to say you could do things in less than an hour and have a lot more flexibility. But if that is really important to you and you absolutely just want something up ASAP as possible, then I suppose you could say that Skool would have a leg up on that. Community marketplace. Now, this is a big difference between what Circle and Skool is. This is totally, again, kind of, is this right for you? I do not want Circle to be a marketplace. It's not something I'm interested in. I'm not competing with other web design communities on Circle. That's one of the big things that Skool promotes, is to discover other communities. Now, again, there's pros and cons to this because it's kind of like a marketplace of communities. I could look at, all right, here are the web design communities in Skool. Again, pros and cons to this. I'm not personally worried about this. This could lead to new members and more discoverability, but because Circle has its own community as well, I could search web design communities. This is going to give me a lot of options for folks who are also using Circle who have web design communities, particularly the events, because a lot of these are more show and tell, and they really do a good job at showing off their communities and what's working well. Whereas Skool is more about communities themselves and not necessarily competing with each other. Skool overall just has a much more gamey approach to community, whereas Circle has a more people community approach to it, my personal experience. Now, this is something that Skool has on Circle. I got to give them that, at least for now. Although watch, I'm sure when this goes live, they'll add it. Circle does not have a progress bar on courses. So if there's like one main thing I can recommend that Circle does, it's to get progress bars on your courses ASAP as possible. This is something that Skool offers that Circle doesn't have yet, which are bundled email notifications. This is pretty cool. I'd actually love to see this here because so I'm a part, by the way, I do use Skool as a user for a few communities. And it is pretty cool. This one that I'm a part of, you do get the option to change your notifications in the way of your emails. Now, as we saw earlier, there's way less options to change notifications in Skool, but you can bundle your communications here if you choose to. If you want less emails, that's an option. So again, similarly, let's see if Circle now, this is the roadmap for Circle, because that would be really nice to have for members. If they want to have less emails, they could bundle it up. Now, here's one thing that's interesting are the transaction fees. So yes, both platforms have native payment options. Circle runs their payments through Stripe. Skool actually has a native payment processor. Pros and cons to both of these are not, again, the theme is, especially with Stripe, you're getting so much more robust reporting and options with Stripe than you would with Skool, but there are slightly different payment transaction fees, which is quite small, but Skool did release their payments FAQ to where Skool charges a flat 2.9% fee, whereas Stripe is 2.9 plus 30% or cents per transaction. So as of now, most people using Skool directly are going to save maybe 1 to 2%. So while that's not a personal deal breaker for me because I love using Stripe and the robust reporting and everything it offers, technically Skool does have slightly lower transaction fees, but you'd probably have to personally weigh the cost. Do you want less reporting and less options and less everything? Is it worth that extra 1 to 2%? Maybe. It's up to you. Again, decide wisely, my friends. And then currently Skool does have level unlock for courses, whereas Circle, I believe, is adding this, but currently at the time of recording this, that is a bit of a difference. It's funny because the courses, like on this one, for example, I've set it up to where for this course, you can only get it with a level unlock. With Circle, if I go into one of my courses, I can customize it via access, but there's no level unlock through gamification. I imagine this is something they'll eventually work on, although you could bypass that by doing workflows. You could say if somebody gets to a certain level, they would then get a tag added to them, and then they would get access to this course. So that's kind of the workaround to do it. But so technically they have the same feature. It's just right here, plain and center in Skool, when here you have to create a workflow. Just 1 or 2 extra steps to make that happen in Circle. And lastly, probably most importantly for Skool, they've got the backing of one of the most influential entrepreneurs right now, Herb Mosey. So Circle does not have a handsome bearded entrepreneur at the forefront. They've just got a non-bearded handsome entrepreneur helping them out. So that's an honest look. I really tried to think about more features that Skool has over Circle. And this is as much as I could come up with. I mean, we looked at all of these things that Circle has, and I had to stop myself for sake of timing on this video. Circle just has so much more than Skool. Now, some people want a simpler approach, which you could do with Skool out of the gate, but you can also do with Circle. You can absolutely, Circle even they have different options because Skool is just a flat one, I think $99 per month right now option at the time of recording this, subject to change. Circle has options that can grow with you, basically. If you want something more robust, I'm on this plan, I'm on the business plan. You could do more if you wanted to, but they also have a basic version. You could keep it super simple and just start with this just to get you going and keep it simple just like you would with Skool. So the people who say Skool's way more simple, my rebuttal to that is, well, you could go simple with Circle and then you have the option to get more advanced if you want to. So with all this in mind, my friends, which one is right for you? We really just scratched the surface on some of the differences, even with Skool and feature sharing some of the same features. As we've seen, a lot of the features differ greatly in customization. Let me give you just some things to think about as you decide whether you want to choose Circle or Skool. Remember, Circle is a community platform. Skool is much more of a community marketplace, much more gamey, much more gamification style. Circle is an all-in-one solution, as we've seen. You can literally just about have no other tools in your tool stack if you want to use Circle. It's all there. Whereas Skool, you're going to be piecing some stuff together, especially things like Zoom for calls, downloading those videos using Wistia or Vimeo, and going to have some other pieces and other tools in your tool stack that are going to add up pretty quickly in costs, which is where you could pay a lot more for Skool with these other items where you could just do it all in one bundled subscription with Circle. Circle is much more robust, as we've seen, with the UX, the user experience, and the features. Skool is basic and very limited compared to what you can do with Circle. But again, remember, like I just said, you could start basic and simple with Circle too. Circle is highly customizable. I'm going to be generous in saying that Skool is barely customizable. Here's one of the biggest points here is that Circle grows with you. You can start simple and build your community. I literally started at this tier, upgraded to the professional, and then moved up to the business as my community grew and as I needed more features. With Skool, you kind of grow with Skool. You grow to the limitations that Skool has in place. So with all that in mind, there's a clear winner in my book, and that is Circle. Yes, I'm a little biased. I've been a Circle user for a long time, but it's been the best decision for my business to build my community and my membership off of Circle. It's really grown with me, giving me all the customizations and all the aspects I need in a membership to make it thrive. I could not do what I do in my community Web Designer Pro with Skool. I could not do what I do in Skool. I can't imagine choosing Skool over Circle. And I don't want to throw shade at a business, and I want Skool to succeed in its own way. If it's right for you, I would love actually to hear below why you think Skool might be right for you over Circle. But I just can't imagine, with everything I've learned as a community builder and membership person over the years, growing this membership and seeing it thrive and it now being the core of my business, I literally could not do what I do in Skool with Circle. So thank you to Circle. Clear as day, winner for me. That's what I'd recommend. But again, this is about you. Which one is right for you? Now, if you would like to try out Circle, you can use my link right here, joshhall.co/circle, to get a free 14-day trial of Circle. I'm going to be doing more and more for my affiliates who use my link to help you build a successful and profitable online membership moving forward. And if you would like some more resources, I do have a couple of videos that will be a good next step for you. One right here is a deep dive into some more features that we covered. And one right here is actually a full-on beginner tutorial walking through every step of the way. So I hope those helped. And I hope this video has helped you decide the right online community platform for you. By now, you know which one I recommend.